Hello everyone, good day. We are the Group 6.
Today we are here to execute
the procedures and instructions
Found in our submitted activity.
But first, let us allow to introduce ourselves.
My name is Amelin Saison.
I am Janlian Pialago.
And I am Eileen Rapana.
I am Riza Suelo.
I am J. Enrica Blanca.
And I am Nova Rose Rica Plaza.
And we are the Group 6.
Hello again everyone. So our topic for today is all about solubility. So what is solubility? Okay, so have you ever wondered why some substances dissolve in water while others don't? The answer is solubility. Solubility is the ability of a solid, liquid, or gaseous chemical substance or solute to dissolve in a solvent that is usually liquid. So a substance is considered to be soluble if it can be dissolved most commonly in water. To learn more about solubility, let's have an activity. So our activity today is all about, do all substances dissolve in water? In this activity, the kids will be divided into 5 groups with 4 members. Then, the kids will be able to investigate the various solubility level of common household items. Not only that, but students will also learn about the use of scientific methods in doing the experiment. Since in doing the activity, there are steps to follow. For the dissolving test to be fair, the same amount of each substance being tested and the same amount of water need to be used.
Hello again, I am J. Enrica Blanca and I am going to explain what a scientific method is and its steps. So, when we say scientific method, it is the process for experimentation that is used to explore observations and answer questions. It is the processes that lies at the center of scientific inquiry. There are 6 steps in scientific method, but I only introduce to you the 5 steps. So first step is making observation. So in this step, we are using our perception of senses, which are the sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of touch, sense of smell, and the sense of taste. Second step is asking questions. In this step, we will now ask questions based on the observation that we've made. Moving on, in step 3, we are now formulating a hypothesis. Note that hypothesis is a statement of what you think the answer to your question is. It is different from the question you formed because it's answering the question you develop with a specific predictions that you'll go on to test. But the question is, how do you find an answer to your hypothesis? So in this case, we need to conduct an experiment to test if the hypothesis that you've made is correct. And that is the step 4, performing experiments. We perform experiments to analyze and interpret the collected data to decide whether the hypothesis is valid or correct. However, if the hypothesis is false or incorrect, then we must go back to the first step, which is making observations. Lastly, step 5, making conclusions. So here we will now make a statement about the outcome of the experiment and whether the hypothesis is accepted or rejected. So that's the steps of scientific method.
So how to proceed with the experiment by using the scientific method? So step 1, prepare the materials for the experiment. Make sure to check if the materials are complete before proceeding to the next step. So here are the materials we will going to use for this activity. So we have here 4 clear glass jars filled with plain tap water, flour, salt, baby powder, granulated sugar, and then the stirrer. So since we all have the materials, let's proceed to the next step. So the next step is formulate some questions before starting the experiment. So for instance, if the powder dissolved first, or possibly the salt or the sugar.
So the third step is make a hypothesis for each substance. So perhaps the salt will dissolve because you might have watched your mother dissolve salt or sugar in water. So when cooking, maybe the baby powder will not dissolve because of its powdery texture. So write down your prediction on a clean sheet of paper. So the fourth step
the step 4, fill each jars with plain tap water. So here we have the 4 jars filled in with water. Then scoop a teaspoon of each substance per jar. So here we have a flour. We have the salt. The powder. And the sugar. So observe what procedure dissolve first. So let's stir it. And that's for step 4.
So for step 5, observe whether or not each substance dissolves. Compare it to your predictions and record the findings.
So at the end of the activity, the learners will likely note that sugar and salt dissolve. So mao ni ang sugar. So as you can see, it dissolved, and then mao ni ang salt. While the flour will partially dissolve. So mao ni ang flour. And then the baby powder will remain intact. So mao ni ang baby powder. So the grainy crystals of the sugar and salt are easily dissolved in water, but the dry, powdery substance are likely to clump up or remain at the bottom of the jar.
Once the experiment is complete, the following questions will be given to the learners to deepen their understanding of solubility and how it works. Number 1. What are the qualities of the soluble materials versus those of the insoluble materials? For example, the soluble materials are likely powdery and dry, while insoluble materials may have a hard, grainy texture. Soluble means capable of dissolving in a solvent, whereas insoluble means incapable of dissolving in a solvent. Number 2. For the materials that dissolve in the water, what do you think will happen if you keep adding more of the water? When a substance dissolves in water, you can see it anymore. It's still there but has mixed with the water. For make transparent liquid called a solution, we call substances that dissolve in water soluble.
What are other examples of soluble substances? So, as we observed during our experiment, soluble substances are those substances that are easily dissolved in water, like this one, the sugar and the salt. So, other example of soluble substances are the coffee and the food coloring. And the fourth are, what are the other example of insoluble substances? So, based on our experiment, the insoluble substances here are the baby powder and the flour. So they are insoluble because they are not easily dissolved in water, or sometimes they can't be dissolved in water. Some examples are the sand and the stone. Those are examples of insoluble substances.
Okay, so we are done with our activity today.
We hope you enjoy our activity. See you in our next activity.
Goodbye and thank you.